But you've probably noticed higher prices at the grocery store already on everything from dairy to meat to wheat products.
Supermarket shoppers sick of high prices are starting to reach a boiling point.
According to the USDA, the cost of groceries will go up by as much as 4%.
Going to the grocery store this year may cost you more money.
Now to the grocery store where prices are on the rise.
Egg prices, they've more than doubled over the past year.
As the nation deals with skyrocketing costs,
is expected to get even more expensive.
Sky-high grocery prices.
When we see something on the grocery shelf, tea, cereal, whatever, we immediately have an opinion about it, and we think, wow, there's a real selection of items I want to buy. Frankly speaking, many of the brands belong to the same parent corporation, and the apparent variety is often deceptive. In this video, you'll learn the shocking truth about how grocery store prices are skyrocketing and how it's leaving consumers struggling to keep up with ever-increasing costs. Hello and welcome back to Serious Coinage. In this video, we'll explore how retailers are taking advantage of today's inflation, what challenges suppliers are facing, and how this affects the consumer. Now, when a typical consumer buys meat at the grocery store, they don't often try to rationalize the cause of the price increase for a slab of meat. The consumer just sees the price rise and thinks, okay, well, that's the way things are going in the economy. It is what it is. When companies perceive that there won't be a significant backlash, they frequently increase prices, and this is exactly what's happening right now. Grocery store prices in the United States increased in May after falling in March and April. Inflation in the US has continued to fall dramatically, but rising supermarket costs are gloomy news for those struggling to make ends meet. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Price Index, which is a key measure of inflation, grocery prices were 5.8% higher than they were a year earlier, in May. The price of menu items have increased by 8.3% over the past year. Over the course of the year, food prices increased by 6.7%, again outpacing the annual inflation rate of 4%. Moreover, the prices of some commonly consumed foods increased dramatically in the past 8 months. For instance, prices for margarine increased by 22.5%, flour by 17.1%, bread by 12.5%, and sugar jumped up 11.1%. Juice and other non-alcoholic drinks increased by 9.9%, lettuce jumped up 9.4%, ham popped 8.2%, and ice cream spiked by 8%. On the other hand, some products haven't changed that much in the past 12 months. For example, the cost of cheese increased by 3.6% over the past year, while chicken went up only 0.9%, and fresh fruits and vegetables increased by 0.6%, although raw beef roasts maintained their shape. Food prices have increased for a number of reasons. High costs along the supply chain, in addition to the effects of extreme weather and the conflict in Ukraine, have contributed to the price increases. Furthermore, food vendors have used these disruptions as an excuse to increase their prices. Even though consumers are purchasing fewer items, the sales of food have increased, suggesting the current pricing will persist. What does a grocery price hike mean for consumers? The price hike at grocery stores has gotten considerably worse for less fortunate families. According to a recent poll of food stamp-eligible American households by the financial software company Propel, roughly a third were skipping meals, eating less, or turning to food banks as a result of rising food prices. On the other hand, food companies claim that price hikes merely represent the extent to which their costs have increased as a result of inflationary pressures, such as higher wage rates, delays in transportation, capacity constraints, or the increased cost of grain products and livestock feed. Inflation in 2022, however, surpassed wage growth in the majority of businesses, and the price of numerous agricultural commodities has decreased. Manufacturers' rising costs are partially to blame for the shocking price increases at the supermarket. To increase their profits, major food manufacturers have recently raised prices, using the inflation narrative as justification. How are retailers taking advantage of inflation? There's a good chance you've purchased a commodity that the food giant Cargill has had a hand in sourcing or processing. Its revenue in fiscal year 2022 surpassed the milestone of $165 billion. Of that, a record 6.68 billion was profit, which was more than double what it made in 2020. According to Chris Becker, senior economist at the Groundwork Collaborative, a progressive economy advocacy group, the corporate profit margins, which measured how much companies made each unit they sell, has reached the highest level in 70 years. When comparing the first quarters of 2021 and 2022, Tyson Foods, the biggest beef producer in the United States, saw a profit increase that more than doubled. General Mills, the parent company of several well-known cereal and snack brands including Annie's, Betty Crocker, Chex, and Bisquick, has increased prices 5 times since 2021 and hinted at the potential 6th increase in the near future. On the other hand, its fourth quarter earnings were up 97% from the previous quarter and up 162% at the end of 2022 from the same period last year. Food packaging giant Conagra reported a 22% boost in profits due to the success of its Healthy Choice, Duncan Hines, and Ready Whip brands. Walmart, the world's largest retailer and one of the largest companies in the United States, saw a 7% increase in profits between 2020 and 2021. But it's not only corporations getting wealthier. Many of these companies' CEOs and other top executives have become food industry billionaires. According to recent research by Oxfam, the 7 wealthy members of the Walton family, which controls Walmart, now has a total net worth of $238 billion, a rise of $8.8 billion from 2020 to 2022. Oxfam has been publishing annual reports on global inequality for several years now, and in each one, they have highlighted the enormous profits that food firms and their CEOs have made as a result of the pandemic. Another excellent example of this is Cargill's, which are among the most important companies in the food sector. They are the largest privately held firm in the United States, and they have over 90% of the ownership, which makes them extremely wealthy. The number of Cargill billionaires has increased by 4 since 2020, rising to a total of 12. According to Nabil Ahmed, Director of Economic Justice at Oxfam America, during the pandemic, billionaires involved in the food and agribusiness sectors, just those billionaires, increased their wealth by at least 400 billion. Moreover, 62 food industry billionaires joined the club during the pandemic, according to experts. The impact of monopolies on food prices. Why are corporate profits skyrocketing, yet everyday folks are having a harder and harder time making ends meet? The question is simple. Only a handful of companies now control the vast majority of the market. According to Oxfam, only Cargill and 3 other agricultural businesses control almost 70% of the global agriculture market. Many of the products sold at supermarkets in the United States are manufactured and marketed by multinational corporations, Mondelez, Nestle, Conagra, and PepsiCo. Even supermarkets have become more concentrated. Concerns have been raised by consumer groups about the pending Kroger-Albertsons merger, which could be halted by the FTC. If the amalgamation is allowed to proceed, Kroger-Albertsons and Walmart will control 70% of their industry. Kroger's operating profit increased from $3.5 billion in 2021 to $4.1 billion in 2022. Kroger has distributed billions in dividends to its stockholders since the pandemic began. Inflationary notions and their influence. Companies believe that consumers will have more understanding of price increases if they are justified. Consumers who would normally feel misled by the companies can be persuaded to accept price hikes by hearing a narrative in the media about broken supply chains and skyrocketing energy prices. Of course, there are limits to that narrative. However, it has already helped with the perception and acceptance of the massive price hikes for essential commodities. Once prices are raised, corporations rarely retreat to the previous levels even if production costs decrease. So the real question here is, what will break the cycle of not only inflation, but also people having to pay more and more for basic things while food producers get richer? Experts propose several solutions. One is better enforcement of existing antitrust laws to prevent and break up monopolies. Another possible solution is laws such as windfall profit tax against price gouging. It would be fantastic if it could increase tax income, but fundamentally it limits the dominance of a few businesses and discourages excess profiteering. However, currently there is nothing to stop corporations from doing what they want. Who will be brave enough to take the step in their path in the name of change for the greater good? Guess we'll have to wait and see. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit that notification bell and subscribe for more.